France is world-renowned for its magnificent cuisine, its majestic Eiffel Tower, and enigmatic medieval towns filled with history and beauty. So, if you're looking for French inspiration to choose a new name, stay tuned to see this list of 80 names that come from French, which you can also use in Spanish. Amaury. This French name, originally Amaury, comes from the Germanic Amalric, which means powerful work. Antoine, a popular French version of the Latin name Antonio, which means someone who is brave. Arnaud. The name Arnaud evolved from the Germanic Anwal, which is interpreted as the eagle that rules. Aubert is a French variant of the name Alberto, which means the one who shines because of his nobility. Aimer, pronounced in this French way, comes from the verb aimer, which means to love. So aimer translates to the beloved. Aliette, a French name of Hebrew roots, means God is my health. Alex, a variant of the name Elisa, comes from Germanic and means of noble birth. Bartlett is a shortened form of the French name Barthélemy, which corresponds to Bartolomeo, meaning son of Ptolemy. Bastien, this French name is a variant of Sebastian, and it means the venerable and respected one. Bertrand. This name has its roots in the Germanic words Bert and Graham, and it means the shining raven. Brigitte is a popular French name that comes from the Celtic word brig, which can be translated as strength. Chandler comes from the French word chandelle, which means candle. Chantal, this name comes from the Occitan word cantal and means the rock. Charlotte is the feminine version of the French name Charles, which comes from the Germanic Karl and means strong and vigorous. Claire, from the Latin claris, which in French means clear. Claudine is a French diminutive of the name Claudia, which comes from the Latin Claudius and translates as the one who walks, lame. Colette, a variation of the name Nicole, which comes from Greek and translates as the victory of the people. Denis is the French evolution of the Greek name Dionysios, the god of wine. Didier. This popular name comes from the Latin desiderium and can be interpreted as source of desire. Darcy comes from the word Darcy, which means from Arcy, a town and commune in France. Desire comes from the Latin desideratum, which translates as the one who is desired. Estelle is the French version of the name Estella, which comes from the Latin stella and means the star. François. This popular name corresponds to the Spanish Francisco and means from the people of the Franks. Florence, the French version of Florentia, from the Latin Florence, which means the blossoming. Gabin, a French name that derives from the Latin Gabinus, which translates as from Gabium, an ancient city in central Italy. Gaston, coming from the Germanic Gast, this French name means the hospitable one. Gauthier, originally pronounced Gauthier, this name derives from Germanic and translates as the one who rules armed. Geraldine, the French feminine form of the Gothic name Gerald, which means ruler of the spear. Giselle. It is believed that this name came into French through the Germanic Gisil and means the sword. Henry, pronounced Henri, is the French name derived from the Germanic Heimeric, which means ruler of the house. Jacques, the French masculine version of the name Jacob, is of Hebrew origin and means protected by God. Jean, this name evolved from the Latin Johannes, which in turn comes from the Hebrew Yohanan and means favored by God. Jérôme, this name has Greek roots and means the sacred name, analogous to Geronimo in Spanish. Jacqueline, the feminine version of Jacques, which means protected by God. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell to get notified about new videos. Jeanette, just like Jean, comes from the Hebrew Yohanan, which means favored by God. Jocelyn, a name introduced by the Normans from the Germanic Gotzelan, which means from the Gothic people. Leroy, pronounced Leroy, literally means the king. Luke is the French form of the name Lucas, derived from Latin meaning the light. Ludovic, this name comes from the Germanic Ludwig, which means the illustrious in battle. Lorraine is derived from the Latin laurus and is interpreted as crowned with laurels. Lourdes, a toponymic name from the city of Lourdes in the south of France. One of the multiple theories about its origin suggests that it comes from Luarda, which is a Latinization of Warda in Arabic. The rose? Marcel, the French version of the name Marcellus, which means dedicated to Mars, the god of war. Marshal comes from Norman, which is interpreted as the one who takes care of horses. Maurice is the French derivation of the Latin Maurus, which means dark. Madeline is the French adaptation of the name Magdalena, which means coming from Magdala, a city in Galilee. Magali is a provincial variant of the name Margarita, which means the pearl. Marion. This name is a French diminutive of the name Miriam, which comes from Hebrew and means the drop of the sea. Michelle, the feminine form of the name Michelle, corresponding to Michael, comes from Hebrew and means who is like God. Maria comes from Provençal and means the admirable one. Neville, a name of French Norman origin, means the new town. Noel is the French version of Natalia, which means the birth attributed to Christmas. Normand, or Norman, comes from French and means from Normandy, a region in the north of France. Norris comes from Old French and means inhabitant of the north. Nadine, a French derivation of the name Nadia, which comes from Russian and means hope. Nancy derived from the name Nan, which in turn was a diminutive of the name Anne, which comes from Hebrew and means full of grace. Nicole, the feminine version of the name Nicholas, of Greek origin, and it means the victory of the people. Olivier, a French name derived from the Latin oliva, the olive tree. Orson has its origin in the Norman l'ourson, which means little bear. Odette is the French adaptation of the Germanic name Oda, which means the wealthy one. Orion is believed to come from the Latin Oriana, from the root aurum, which translates as made of gold. Pascal, this French name, is derived from the Latin Paschalis, which means the Easter feast. Pierre, the French version, analogous to the Spanish Pedro, which means the stone. Pinnable comes from Norman and means handsome as a pine. Patrice derives from the Latin patricius and means belonging to the nobility. Quentin is the French variant of the Latin name Quintus, which means the fifth son. Raoul comes from the Frankish Radolf, which means the brave counselor. Raymond. The Normans introduced this name from the Germanic Ragenmund, which means the one who protects and advises. Remy, derived from the Latin Remigius. This French name means the one who rose. René, analogous to the name Renato, means the reborn. Roussel comes from Old French and Anglo-Norman Roussel, a diminutive of Rousse, which means the red-haired one. Rosette. This feminine name can be translated as the little rose. Sylvain, a French name derived from the root silva. In Latin, the forest, it means the one who comes from the forest. Solange, a name evolved from the Latin solemnia, which means the solemn one. Thierry has its origin in the Germanic Thudric, which is interpreted as king of the nation. Toussaint comes from the Latin totus sanctus, which means all the saints. Traverse from the Old French traversi, which means to cross. It is believed that it was the designation for someone who collected a toll to cross a bridge. Tyson, French quaison, which means ember, so Tyson can be interpreted as someone with a fiery temperament. Valiant comes from the Old French valent, and this from the Latin valere, and it means the brave one. Vincent, pronounced Vincent, is the French version of Vicente, from the Latin Vincentius, the conqueror. Yvette is the feminine form of the popular name Eve, which comes from the Celtic Ive, meaning the shrub. And that's all for today. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to this channel. I also invite you to turn on the notification bell so you'll know when there's a new video. See you soon.